South Africa celebrates 30 years of democracy this year, and to take a look at the strides that have been made as well as what the Government of National Unity could face is Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Nguka, and she joins me now for that conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. So as I said, 30 years of democracy being celebrated this year, and with that, big strides having been made in transformation. But take us back. Just how far have we come?
Well, we've come a long way. I mean, not without difficulties, of course, but we are able to celebrate exactly because there has been institutions that have supported our democracy, that always enabled us to get back to track when we're off track. We have also had a free press that enable us to communicate and shout at one another. We have a robust judiciary. We have a civil society that is able to organize and to communicate. And those are the institutions that have been the enablers of our democracy. We, sadly though, we are now at a point where we have high rates of unemployment, we have crime, we are battling corruption, and the fact that we know about those things, it is because these institutions that we have been robust, and they've continued to highlight these issues. What we hope the GNU will do will then address all of these issues that have been highlighted to them. I mean, we are looking forward to hear what the President will say on Thursday, and hopefully we can take it from there.
We have got off track, and now it's up to the Government of National Unity to get us back on track. And sentiment one thing, I think there was a lot of positivity around the formation of the Government of National Unity and just how peaceful that process was. But positive sentiment needs action now. How confident are you that we are going to see that action come through so that we get back onto the right track?
Confident as one can be on how society will continuously call out when there is underperformance. Because yes, you have the structured and means for accountability. You have parliament that does the oversight, etc. But you have civil society. We've got you. You need to call out when those who are in government are off track or underperforming, because you have access to information. You can see what they are doing. So it's not about how even I and specific institutions can comment about the performance of GNU, is what society will continuously say to the GNU, and how they will continuously evaluate the performance of the GNU. It is a collective task. We are obviously not the only country in the world that has this multi-partied type of government, and in general, it can work. You know, it can work. Each of the ministers that has been appointed has a specific job description. And those who pay attention to the activities of a particular department or sector will be able to nitpick on what is happening on that sector. We rely on them to highlight for us when things are off track and when they are doing the correct thing.
If we don't get back on track, do we risk becoming a country that has a story of brokenness? If we take a look at Eskom, if we take a look at Transnet, those are stories of brokenness. So do we risk that being the country's narrative?
Yeah, but also they are being built up. So I don't want us to call everything a doom and gloom. Because, I mean, you have had no load shedding now for a significant period of time. And we hear from the chairperson of Eskom. We know the new CEO, Eskom, is hard at work to fix the thing. So I don't want to belabor the bad news. I also want to look at what is the good story, what is it that they are doing well, and encourage them to continue to do that. I also don't want to sweep under the carpet the difficulties. We must continuously point out the difficulties, but not be so obsessed about the problems that whenever they make a good move, we treat it as a non-story.
Because right at the center of all of this, getting Eskom going, and like you highlight, we have had the lights on. That's great for business and for industry, because at the heart of everything is growth. We have to get this economy growing again. And fixing Eskom and Transnet and some of the broken systems, part of that, but so much more that has to be done when it comes to growth, right?
Yeah, and leadership. Because behind every progressive and exciting story is someone who is making sure that things work. So having the right people in the right positions, and also making sure that you have the skilled people who can actually deliver on the tasks that they are assigned to.
Explain to us the relationship between growth and transformation. Do we need growth for transformation, or does transformation engender growth? Or is it a combination of the two?
It's absolutely hand in hand, because what are you saying? You want an economy that is going to gallop with a handful of people and leave everyone out because you feel transformation is a burden? So who is the economy going for if you are not bringing everyone along? Do you want the story of inequality in South Africa to be the perpetual story that South Africa is the most unequal society? The failure of South Africa is exactly the lack of meaningful transformation. So you cannot sweep that under the carpet and want a handful of probably white males to be the ones that are doing things for everybody. People want to do things for themselves, and they have to be there. So let's skill the people. Let's make sure that everyone who is willing to come up and work comes forward.
We've laid a lot at the feet of government here, but it's not only government that needs to look at growth, that needs to look at transformation in this picture. It's corporate South Africa as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Government cannot do it alone, but also corporates can also not do it alone. Government has to make sure that we have enabling policies so that the corporates can deliver and provide the services that they can provide. And corporates have got to also be committed to the changes that we want. I think it's very disheartening when you see the extent to which corporates will ignore unemployed South Africans and employ people without the right papers and pay them peanuts, because that perpetuates the bad story about South Africa.
Do you believe there is enough conversation happening between corporate South Africa and between government on issues like this, or do we need more?
Much more is needed also between the training institutions and private sector, so that people are being trained for the jobs that exist. And the institutions know what it is that the world of work requires from them.
Thank you so much for your time today. That was, of course, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Nguka, who is the former Deputy President of South Africa.